What's up guys, Ricky here with gsmarina.com, and I'm wondering if any of you are looking for the largest possible smartphone you can use without basically going into tablet territory. Well, look no further than the Xiaomi Mi Max 3. Exactly how practical is it to use something this large? Well, let's find out in the full review. Maybe the Galaxy Note 9 is a bit too pricey for some. After all, it is a $1,000 phone. But if you're looking for something even bigger than the Note 9 that's a lot easier on your wallet, you might want to take a look at the Xiaomi Mi Max 3. There's no getting around it. This phone is big, like really big. You'll really need to use two hands to use this guy. On the bottom is a single downward firing loudspeaker, which is fairly loud. And of course, there's a USB-C port, though it's only got USB 2.0 transfer speeds. At the top is a full-size headphone jack, and there's even an IR blaster, a feature that's been slowly dying off of smartphones. Picking up the phone, it's pretty hefty. It feels like this phone wasn't really designed for small hands, since the rear-mounted fingerprint scanner is so far up the back of the phone. At least the power key is somewhat reachable. If you'd rather not depend on the fingerprint scanner so much, you could always use Face Unlock, which was fairly consistent, but still not as secure as your fingerprint. Apart from the size, there isn't much exciting about the overall design of the phone. It's pretty average for your run-of-the-mill Chinese phone. You've got your metal back with a matte finish, a rear fingerprint scanner, and a dual camera setup up in the corner there in similar fashion to the iPhone Xs. Of course, the good thing about the design is that the bezels are thin enough to at least make it easy enough to hold in one hand, like when you're making a phone call. Actually using it in one hand, though, is a totally different story. For the first time in the Max series, there's a taller 18:9 display, so the diagonal dimension works out to 6.9 inches large. This is an IPS LCD panel with full HD plus resolution, and it does get fairly bright, almost 500 nits, which is not bad in bright light. I'm also pretty glad that Xiaomi did not resort to using a notch. Colors on this display are bright and vibrant, and setting the display to the standard color mode preset showed us some surprisingly accurate colors as well, better than some flagships even. So touching up photos on this screen will be great for social media professionals who need great color accuracy. Keeping up with the theme of the phone, there's a humongous 5500 mAh battery inside the Mi Max 3, which means this phone can easily go through 2 consecutive days without needing a charge. In fact, the Mi Max 3 ranks in the top 10 battery scores of the devices we've ever tested, with an overall score of 115 hours. It still didn't manage to beat its predecessor, the Mi Max 2, which had a smaller battery but a more efficient display and LTE modem. That said, the Mi Max 3 uses an updated Snapdragon 636 mid-range CPU paired with either 4 or 6 GB of RAM. You won't get flagship level performance out of this guy, but that's because devices of this size are in a category of their own. While pretty much any game can run fine on any Android phone these days, whatever you do end up playing on the Mi Max 3 will be a joy on this huge display. MIUI has always been well optimized and power efficient in Xiaomi's phones, and the Mi Max 3 is no different. With the feature-rich MIUI 9.5 running over Android 8.1 Oreo, the Android skin is home to anyone who's ever used a Xiaomi device in the past. Moving on to the camera, the Mi Max 3 borrows the same dual camera setup from some of its other Redmi siblings. There's a dual camera setup which combines a 12 megapixel sensor and a 5 megapixel secondary camera, as well as a single-tone dual LED flash. Focusing on the Mi Max 3 is super quick and accurate thanks to dual pixel phase detection. Shots taken with the Mi Max 3 look pretty good. There's plenty of detail and dynamic range is generally good. Sharpness is well balanced, and we struggle to spot any signs of noise. Although, colors could afford to be a little bit more vibrant. When it comes to low light, there's a fairly bright f-stop of 1.9 and large 1.4 micron pixels, which should help in dark lighting. The Mi Max 3 took some pretty decent low light shots. Some photos might be noisier than others, so expect it to be more of a hit or miss when it comes to low light shooting. Otherwise, portrait shots aren't terrible on the Mi Max 3. You might notice some border mismatching on the shots, but other than that, nobody on Facebook or Instagram might even notice. Selfie portraits on the Mi Max 3's 8-megapixel front camera rely purely on software for facial detection, and it can take portraits good enough for social media. Although this phone has mid-range hardware, it can actually record video in 4K at 30 frames per second. Resolve details are quite good, above average even. Colors were not too dull, while dynamic range was alright. There's also a bit of noise, but it's not too terrible. This camera uses gyroscope-based electronic image stabilization, which worked quite well in 1080p video, but the stock camera app doesn't support stabilized video in 4K recording. There is a workaround though. I was actually able to get stabilization to work in 4K by using the Open Camera app from the Play Store. So as we get closer to the verdict, we have to wonder, who is this phone for? It could be for anybody who might be suffering with a vision disability, or maybe for somebody who is really large and has really large hands. It's really for anyone who wants the convenience of being able to do things on a large screen. You know, it could also be for a Lyft or Uber driver who needs a really large display for navigation, but you would need to get a tablet mount to get it up on the dashboard in the first place. The Mi Max 3 offers a great overall experience for anyone who's really looking to get the convenience of a huge display. Of course, the size might not be for everyone, it might not fit in someone's pockets, but if you like the idea of the added real estate, then the Mi Max 3 will definitely not disappoint you. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a comment and don't forget to hit that bell next to the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of our future videos. Until next time, I'm Ricky signing off for GSM Arena. Thanks for watching.